recently, the Nigerian government visited the UK, and one of the things they talked about was acknowledging businesses owned by Nigerians in the UK and encouraging more Nigerians to invest and do business in the UK. So we're going to be talking about this in details because most times we focus more on immigration changes, immigration rules, and actually forget about this other aspect of actually living and excelling in the UK. So we're going to be sharing with you some of the businesses that Nigerians, Africans, and people can do in the UK, whether you live in the UK or outside the UK. And I've got a guest here who's going to be doing this with me. So stay tuned because you're definitely going to get value from this video.
Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Nee Babrala, founder, CEO of Bablo Homes. I'm happy to be back on Tochi's channel to see how I can at least say some things I know, and let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much for coming. I know you've been here before, for those that are not new here, and a lot of people were really impressed with the fact that you moved to the UK as a medical doctor. You know, some things that we see as impossible or that we see as not normal. You actually did it. You moved to the UK as a medical doctor and eventually just quit medicine and went straight into business. And a lot of people really admired that, like, wow, this is really inspiring. So we wanted more of you to tell us what you know and share with us, just impact our lives, because I feel like we need to talk more about these things as migrants living in the UK. So thank you so much for agreeing to do this.
Thank you very much for having me again, Tochi. Yes, shifting from the healthcare profession and going into business, I chose property as a vehicle for what I'll be doing to move forward for myself and, of course, my family. It was difficult to just make that switch, but one thing anyone who is a healthcare professional that you also know is that whenever we are going into something, we want to see it to the end. So it was that switch for me. It's either dipping my leg inside a little bit or just go all in. I decided to choose going all in. And yes, now I've got Bablo Homes, which is the company that I founded about 3 years ago. And we thank God for what the Lord has been doing.
So would you say you are happy you made that decision, or do you have any regrets, like, oh, I wish I had just continued?
Last year, 2025 ending, when myself and my accountants, we had a meeting and I was just looking over the books to see how Bablo Homes has been doing since we started. And I saw that the business grew more than ×5 of when I started my first year. That's when I knew, like, I'm onto something here, right? So for me, there's no regret right now. My first year, there was a lot of regret, but now this is my third year and there's no looking back now.
Yeah, and there'll never be any regrets.
Amen.
Okay, so we've seen some Nigerian companies setting up businesses, investing millions in the UK. What do you think this means for immigrants that live in the UK, especially Nigerians, or let's say Africans?
Tochi, the thing is, this is a major shift. For a long time, immigrants have been coming to the UK mainly to come and work, right? Africans, most of us, when we come to the UK, we are coming to work. But now we are seeing people coming as investors, people moving from working to becoming founders, business owners. And what this means is simple. The opportunity has expanded. It is no longer what it used to be before. It's not only about earning salary now. Most people want to build wealth because now they are settling down in a new country. They are thinking of, okay, how do I expand here? How do I build wealth here? And the people who understand this early enough are the ones who will win long term.
Oh, that's interesting.
So because if you look at it now, most of us that came 5-7 years ago or even 3 years ago, you see people now easily doing businesses and trying to set up, because it's not just only about earning salary, right? The salaries would it's good, but the bills in this country will want to squeeze or choke you. You don't choke you. Salary is not enough, basically. Yeah,
I think I agree with you, because I feel like we all need to start thinking like this, because it is just that depending on salary, even though we still acknowledge the fact that visa rules or being on a visa is quite limiting. Yeah. But for those who can, I feel like we need to start thinking outside the box, because this is the reason why we see people who continue struggling, going from paycheck to paycheck. And at the end of the day, your bills will keep increasing. We know that April every year in the UK, bills must go up.
Exactly.
And salaries will just go up by maybe tiny little percentage, but your bills will go high. Everything is going up. So that thing will not change. But
Correct.
the moment you start thinking outside the box or thinking of extra ways that you can actually make more money, is better. So I
And
agree with
yeah, and people have different strategies. Some people just like, okay, let me work, get ILR or British citizenship, then they start business. Some other people prefer to say, okay, let my dependents, because they have partners, let my
you.
dependents be the ones doing the business. Like, it's not like there has to be a straight way. There are different ways you can make this work.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, now you're into property. So we've also established that businesses now are coming into UK and the government is encouraging more people to invest in UK. How does this affect the property market? And how can people, think property or go into the property market, especially for Nigeria, both those in the UK and those outside the UK that would want to invest but don't know how to go about it?
So, for example, the fact that the government is encouraging this and there's relationship between UK and Nigeria, like you said, the president just came recently to the UK. Every investment creates jobs. If government is investing in an area or investing in something, that would create jobs. And every job would create housing demand. And when there's housing demand, that's demand increases and it makes rents also go up, right? This has bad and good parts to it. But when rents go up, what does that mean as well? Property values will go up. So imagine you or me, for example, who is investing in property, who has properties that they're being rented out. It means your cash flow increases. It means your equity in the property also increases. So when me, for example, when I see news like this, I don't just see the headlines. I see future rental demand in good growth areas, and that's how smart investors want to think.
Yeah. Okay, now let's talk money. Okay. A lot of people might hear property and feel like, oh, it's out of reach. It's for rich people or people that have more money. What do you think about people who want to invest, but they still see it as something big or something for certain kind of people, or that it is only for people with a particular amount of money in their bank account?
Yeah, I would probably say, depending on the area in the UK, right? Sometimes you can start a buy to let portfolio with as little as £30,000, for example. That is if you do it properly.
30,000 pounds is not little anyway.
I get that, right? But I'm saying for a buy to let, for example,
I get your point. Yeah.
people want to buy a property and rent it out. They might be able to do that with 30,000, £35,000, for example. But meanwhile, there are other strategies in the UK that people can do, and you need even less than £10,000. For example, my business that I'm doing now, people can start it with less than £10,000. Because what you need is, you need sweats, you need education, and you need your compliance to set up, which all of this would cost you less than £10,000. But a lot of sweat, a lot of hours, right? But imagine you starting something with £10,000 or less, and you grow it to more than 500,000 in 3 years. For example, if you put in the work, if you put in the sweat, and people do rent to rent as well. Rent properties from landlords and now put it on Airbnb for service accommodation. That can be done with less than £10,000. I'm saying these things because those are the things you can do in property less than £10,000. Even people that are maybe 10,000, 20,000, 15,000, they can also do partnerships with people, right? You can come together as a group, right? Say 15,000, 4 friends, you have £60,000. You can go and buy, renovate, and sell a property. So, and make profit from it. So there are different ways. Don't limit yourself to, oh, because I've got little capital, I can't do anything. No, there are ways out there that you can do this. And that's part of the reason why I think on the last time I came on your show, Tochi, I was saying people could join my community and see part of the free guidance I give so they can help them get started with little money in property.
So is the opportunity to join that community still open? Can people still join right now?
Of course, my community is free. To be free till first week of July.
Oh wow! So guys, I'm going to leave the link to join the community in the description. All right. So how can immigrants actually benefit from opportunities like this? in the UK. And we also know that you work with a lot of people since you started your business, both those in the UK, those outside the UK. What mistakes do you see people making? How can people actually, like I said, benefit from opportunities like these? What can people do to get outside that mentality of work alone and start doing better?
So, what I've noticed is this, right? Most of us immigrants, we need to shift our mindset. We need to shift that mindset from survival to ownership. Instead of just asking, how do I earn more? How do I earn more? Let it be, how do I own more? Like, how do I own assets? These assets might not only be property, right? It might be a community, whatever it is, like things that can keep giving you money monthly or extra money, meaning you don't have to do active work every time, something that will give you passive income. That's what we need to start thinking about, not just only about survival. And people who own assets, right, in growing economies like this or in good economies like this, are the ones who will build real wealth over time. And there's something else you said. You said, what are the biggest mistakes immigrants make? I would say maybe 2 or 3 of the biggest ones I've come across with most of my clients, right? You are not, as the person who wants to start building portfolio in the UK, you are not a property investor. You are probably a mental health nurse or a medical doctor. That is what you went to school to do, right? That is what you are working as a professional. But now you want to do property investing and you don't want to get mentorship or education. But you got mentorship and education for your profession. So why do you think you just do property investing without mentorship and education? Now you want to still do it all alone. So you need someone who can give you the guidance and who can help you, right? Another thing people do is they'll say, oh, okay, before I do this, I need to speak to my uncle that has been here or my auntie that has been in the UK for the last 20 years or 25 years. That your uncle is not building a portfolio. That your uncle probably owns one property they are living in and one other one that they put in for rental that are not even making money from. So now, why do you want to speak to that person? You want to speak to people who are doing property investing actively and helping other people to make money. That is who you want to leverage on. So you shouldn't be making mistakes like that because you will most likely lose money or you won't get the right deals. So what you want to, okay, let's put it this way. I want to travel to Spain tomorrow, for example. Are you going to say, oh, I need to speak to my uncle to get me to Spain? No. You will go and speak to the airline who will carry you to Spain. They're the ones you will pay because that's the service they do. Your uncle or your auntie does not have an airline to carry you to Spain, for example.
Yeah, so I've seen how passionately you talk about property and how you were able to set up your business. Of course, moving from medicine or moving as a medical doctor to property. Now, how can you help people who are interested? How can your company help people, both those in the UK, those outside the UK, that would want to invest in the UK, buy property in the UK, that would eventually start making their money?
We do 3 main things. We help people in the UK and outside of the UK, anywhere you are in the world, to buy properties, basically with minimal involvement, right? You're not doing the viewings, you're not doing the refurb if it needs, you're not the one finding the tenants. We are doing everything for you. We're also the ones liaising with our brokers to get you mortgage, no matter where you're in the world, right? So this is how we help people to make it like a done-for-you service for them. Now, we don't want people making mistakes, right? When I was starting my journey, I noticed there was so many mistakes people were making because I was making the mistakes as well, right? For example, let me give you an example of one of the clients that came to my office last week. They bought a 2-bedroom flat in London for £550,000. That 2-bedroom flat makes 2,250 in rent. That's 2%. And I'm like, why did you do that? Oh, my uncle told me to do that. I'm like, no, you can make a lot more. And when I showed the person opportunities that the person could make, the person was like, oh, wow. So the point, I will go back to that point again, is the people around you, are they property investors? If they're not, leverage a company like mine to help you make this money. So whether you're looking to start a property portfolio, we can help. Whether you're looking for partnership to work with us, we can help. If you're looking for guidance to learn about property investments in the UK, we have a community. You can help.
Okay. So this very important question that has brought about a lot of debates and different opinions from people. What do you think about people buying a property in the UK without ILR?
It's a no-brainer. Once your ILR still come, right? But if for example your ILR does not come, okay, or if you're on the longer route path, right, still buy a property, right? Because if you leave the UK, you can still sell this property if you bought it in the right place. Another mistakes people make, they buy with emotions, like, oh, this house is close to my place of work, right? That might not be what other people want because they are not working at your place of work. You understand? So you need to buy the property in the right place, right? So wherever you buy the property, you can still sell if you need to sell. And you lived in the property for a while, meaning you've also grown equity in the property, meaning you make profits when you sell as well if you bought in the right place. So yes, whether you're on ILR, British, or you're still on your visa, you can buy a property in the UK. People are not Some people are not residents in the UK, right? They are based in Nigeria or Sierra Leone or Canada, or this my other clients, but they are buying properties in the UK. So you that are living here, why shouldn't you?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know how people see properties or when they talk properties. I don't know. Because for you, you live in the UK. For some people, you live in the UK and you have a property in Nigeria where you barely even go to.
Yeah.
So, is it not the same thing?
Yeah.
Don't sell. Once it's yours, it's yours. If you decide that it's of no use to you anymore, or you want to move to Canada or to US or to Australia or back to Nigeria, you can either sell or keep it to be making more money for you. It's
Exactly.
yours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, how can people reach you for those who would want you to help? How can they contact you?
All right. So the best way to contact us is go to our website, bablohomes.co.uk. Just put Bablo Homes on Google, right? Once you put it, you see our website, you might see our Instagram page, follow us on all those places, or send us an email. Once you open our website, you'll see our email address. Send us an email for whatever you're looking for. And once you open our website, you'll see a form. You can fill the form, and to get to us, we'll be able to contact you back and have a discussion with you. Yeah.
I'll get all those details and put in the description box for you guys.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
You're
I appreciate it so much. And thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.
Bye.